Hello there, I'm Euan from the Liga Lowdown, and for this week's Stadium Sit-Down I'm joined by another member of the La Liga Lowdown squad. Hello.
Hello.
It's Alex from the north. Why were you in Madrid? Why did you come down apart from this this lovely Stadium Sit-Down?
You don't think I came down just to speak to you?
No, not really.
Like you called me, jumped on the plane, no, okay.
I think you might have had another reason.
No, I'm here because we have both been at World Football Summit the last 2 days where our own David Garrido was the host of the event.
Sure was.
And we've been enjoying that, enjoying the speeches, some great football personalities like Ronaldo, like Roberto Martinez and so on. And yeah,
many who didn't show up
didn't show up.
But we have both showed up today for this, and
we did show up
in front of the Bernabéu, and we're going to talk about a few things to do with Real Madrid. So let's get started. So the big talking point in Spain this week and around the world, but mostly in Spain, has been the best awards. So Luka Modric has been voted the best player for the last season. Was he?
Both yes and no. I think in some regards he was absolutely the best player in the world. If you look at it in some other regards, he was probably not. It all comes down to opinion, comes down to different things. And I think it's in general quite impossible to say who is the best.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, even if we can say that Modric was the best midfielder, which I think we can say that probably.
Yeah, I think we can agree.
The problem is when you start comparing positions with positions, because they're just so different, aren't they?
I think that in general, I'm not a fan of individual awards.
You're really not.
And I've told you this before, and that's why you will not see me tweeting pretty much anything about individual awards or talking about it much. And that's basically because I don't think you can compare different football players in this type of sport that is a team sport. Because to start with, just comparing all the different players is like comparing different sports.
Yeah.
Because if you're a goalkeeper, or if you're a forward or a midfielder or a defender, you play the sport in a different way. You need to be good at different things and all of this. And also if you just go into the positions, I think it's quite difficult to compare one goalkeeper with another or one midfielder with another, because the different teams play so different type of football. You have different coaches, you have different tactics, you need to be good at different things. And if we're going to take the goalkeeper as one example, if we go back to when Barcelona during the Guardiola era, for example, when Victor Valdés was there, and I really think he was the best possible goalkeeper they could have at that point.
Sure.
Because at that Barcelona, you would probably not touch the ball for over 80 minutes if you were the goalkeeper. But when it comes, you need to be ready, you need to be alert, you need to have focus, and that might be the most key thing for a Barcelona keeper at that point, was to have this complete focus for 90 minutes. And also to be good with the feet, because you need to basically be a midfielder that stands in goal in some ways. But then if you look at a completely other team, you need completely different skills. So I just think in a team sport like football, you can't, to start with, you can't compare different positions, but you can't really compare players in the same positions either, because it's just impossible.
Well, let's do that right now, and let's compare the goalkeepers, because the guy who was voted the best goalkeeper was Thibaut Courtois, who plays his football behind us. He's only actually played a couple of times for Real Madrid. Obviously, he was given this award for his exploits against Leganés. But no, he was obviously given
everything comes down to how you perform against Leganés, always.
I think so. He was given it for what he did at the World Cup. You were there in Russia. Was he that good at the World Cup to deserve this award ahead of the likes of De Gea or Oblak?
Personally, for me, the best goalkeeper of the World Cup was Robin Olsen. No, but he was brilliant during the World Cup. But I think that one of the problems as well when it's a World Cup year is that it becomes too much focus on the World Cup, because that's also, if we go into what we were speaking about before, playing in a World Cup and playing in a league is also very different.
And it's also detrimental for Oblak. I mean, he didn't let in a single goal at the World Cup, but he wasn't there. So
no, but
he doesn't get that time in the limelight to show what he can do.
And remember Ochoa. And his World Cup, and everyone suddenly thought he was the best keeper in the world. Then he comes back and playing league, and where is he now? I don't even know where he plays now.
I don't know.
But so it's very difficult in that way, but it's like where you get the exposure. And obviously Courtois is a fantastic goalkeeper. Sure. But also, as we've been speaking about before, he's not even the first choice keeper here.
He might not even be the best goalkeeper at Real Madrid. That's
here you have Keylor Navas.
Something people have been joking about, but there's something to it. I mean, one line I read was Courtois is the best goalkeeper in the world, but Navas is the best goalkeeper in Europe. I don't really know how this all adds up. So
No.
it kind of just adds to what you were saying before. It's hard to compare players between positions and even within positions. So yeah, we're gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about Isco next. Okay, so there was some bad news for Real Madrid, and especially for Isco this week. He has had appendicitis. He's had to get his appendix removed. Do you have an appendix on you at the moment?
No, I do not.
No, you don't? I don't have one either. I lost mine too.
Yeah.
So I guess we're the appendicitis experts, but also we don't possess one.
Know everything about it
between us. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. We both know it's not fun, but I think the worst thing, I guess, if you're a professional athlete, is the time it would take to get back to your best afterwards. I know it took me a few weeks to get back on my feet, and I'm in no way a professional athlete. So Real Madrid are expecting Isco could miss 6 matches, and they have some quite important ones along the way. They have Atlético Madrid, CSKA Moscow, Alaves, Levante, and Victoria Plzen. The Atlético Madrid one stands out for me as a tricky one, as does Alaves away. How much are they going to miss Isco? He's not been playing that much this season, an average of 63 minutes per game, but will they miss him?
I think they will, because as you say, he hasn't been a regular starter, but he's still been a game changer, a key player. Like when he's come on and the times when he has started, he's been a key for Real Madrid. And might even be more important than some players who have been starting.
Sure.
So I definitely think that they will miss him, and particularly against Atlético Madrid, that will be a very difficult match. And as you mentioned, I do believe as well that the Alaves away match is going to be difficult.
They've been so good this season, and you're correspondent in the north. Just how difficult would that game be with or without Isco, but even more so now that he won't be there?
Well, it's difficult because the Alaves are very good this season. Abelardo is one of the best coaches of the Liga, I would say.
Yeah, I think
just
so.
what the change he did with Alaves last season, and then it's going to be very exciting to see how far they can get this season, because they have a really good home support, one of the best, I would say, in La Liga, and it comes a little bit from their basketball team as well. The Baskonia, who's very famous here in Spain for having one of the best supports and best atmospheres at their matches, and that kind of have transformed over to the football as well. So it's a city that loves its sport and is always there, no matter how it's going for the team. They're always there backing them.
So who's going to come in for him? I mean, you've got guys that can maybe play the same position. Isco might do like Asensio or Ceballos, but they're different kinds of players. Isco sort of offers something different. How can Real Madrid solve this problem?
That's a good question. No, I think they will have to lean on the other players and what are their best abilities. You shouldn't expect a player to play like another one, because this is what we got into earlier as well with comparing different footballers. It's probably better to try to find the strengths of the players you have and try to find the best way to play around that instead of focusing too much on the players you are missing.
Yeah, I think that all makes perfect sense. It's going to be interesting to see how they do get on without Isco, one of the most gifted players that they have. And yeah, the idea is that he'll be back for the Clásico on October 28th. I don't think they should rush him back. I think if he's not 100%, it's not worth bringing him back just for that one match. But yeah, they're going to have a few before then, and we'll see if they manage to take those points even without their number 22. So our last topic today is Álvaro Odriozola. So he is the backup right back for Real Madrid. Last year, did you know how many times he played at Real Sociedad?
Too many? No, not too many. Too few.
Too few, maybe.
If you ask me.
It was still quite a lot. 41 appearances he made.
Yeah.
He is not going to get anywhere close to that this year at Real Madrid, where he has Dani Carvajal, arguably the best right back in the world, ahead of him. So is he going to start regretting his choice to come here now that he's seen how few minutes he's going to get?
Well, I'm going to regret it because I want to watch him play.
Yeah.
Well, I think he might in some way, but at the same time, he said himself that one of the players that he looked up to the most for a few years now is Carvajal, and he wants to learn from him, and he seems to be quite content with the situation, even if he's not regularly playing. He's still very young, so he has time. But I think for the rest of us that wants to watch him, it's more
It's
difficult.
a shame. It's a shame. And we have had a few opportunities because of Carvajal's injury. But you imagine that won't last long. And I mean, it's hard to bench Carvajal. Carvajal has always survived, no matter who Real Madrid have signed. When he came in, when they had Álvaro Odriozola, they brought in Danilo. He can just fend off all right backs. Even last season they had Achraf Hakimi coming in for a few games, Nacho, and they sort of just played Carvajal maybe too much almost, because he's just that good and they just don't want to not have him playing at right back. Odriozola though can also offer a bit more, I think, going forward. So could they play something like back three, he can play as a wing back or something like that, or are there going to be games where Real Madrid are going to want a more attacking full back? Because I feel like Carvajal is a much better defender than Odriozola. Going forward though, I think they're probably quite similar in terms of their talent.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and I think like one thing with Odriozola that for me is outstanding from nearly any other player that I've seen is his crosses.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that guy fail a cross. They're always pitch perfect. When he's been playing with Spain, with the youth teams, with the Spanish national team, the first team with Spain, with Real Sociedad, and also now with Real Madrid, they're always perfect. Every single match. It's like, can that guy even fail across? I've been in several matches. I've been like trying to look closely at this, and it's like, when is that miss gonna come? Because it has to come.
Yeah.
And the area is 100% perfect.
No, for me the whole thing doesn't seem to fit. You mentioned that he's so young, but then so's Carvajal. So
Yeah.
when is
For me, it's
what's
the
he going to
wrong-
do? It's a bit like when Theo Hernandez came away from Atletico Madrid last year, and he was behind Felipe Luis, and then he came to become the backup to Marcelo, who's an even younger player. So what's his end game here? Does he genuinely believe he's going to unsit Carvajal, or is he just coming to win a few trophies at Real Madrid and then move on somewhere
I think
else?
mainly he's coming to learn.
Okay.
Is the feeling that I've got from listening to what he's saying and how he's tackling it. If he thinks he's and then like, well, try to see how far he can get at Real Madrid.
Sure.
But it wouldn't surprise me if he's just here for a few years and then go on. But for me personally, it was the signing this summer that made me the most upset, to see him go to Real Madrid. Because it's a player that is so good, got so much talent, and I think it's the best right back that Spain has had in a lot of years, and he's going to just get better and better and better.
Okay, so that's been everything from our stadium sit down. Thank you very much, Alex, for coming all the way down from Vigo to be here.
Yeah, wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed our Real Madrid chat. Remember, if you have, leave some comments on what you think about the best, about Isco's absence, and about Odriozola. And remember to subscribe to the channel and to follow us on Twitter as well, at La Liga Lowdown. What's your Twitter?
At Alexander Jonson, no H, 1S.
And I'm Euan McTear. You'll follow us, you can find out all the stuff about La Liga Lowdown and interact with us more as we basically keep you up to date with how Real Madrid are doing without Isco. See you next time.